well. So for now, I'm just gonna, well, I've made this new layer here, which I've named Refine 3, and hopefully this will be the last layer on this refining process. So I'm gonna start working on texturing the hair. And for this process, I like to use a particular brush when it comes to hair. Like we've been doing, we start off with a thicker brush like I've been using up until now, and work with something a bit more intricate towards the end. So for this final process, I'm going to use a brush similar to this, I guess. And what this one does is it kind of creates strands of lines similar to hair. Or if we use a different one in this little collection. And it's kind of good for just making those final adjustments to the texture. So I'm going to start working on that. And I'm going to keep it quite small. And I want to start taking out this huge array of colors. I'm going to start just trying to bring them together a little bit more so it's all one similar shade and there's a little bit more of a definition between the hair at the back and the hair at the front. So just kind of bringing that together. I don't like this very much. I'm going to bring this one a little sharper. So yeah, the light's coming from this direction, coming down from here and coming up from here. So this area wouldn't really see much light. It's only getting a little tiny bit of it at the bottom. So for the top, I'm going to keep it quite dark. Bringing the shadows around. And it has to be darker, obviously, because it's meeting up with our face here. So I'm using the colours that I've done over here just to bring shadow to that particular part of our face. Bringing the shadows underneath as well. Kind of like this yellow tone that I've used here, so I'm just going to try and keep that a little bit more consistent through the rest of the hair. And some of these shadows are a bit too strong, really. So I'm going to try and tone them down a little bit. Bringing in some of this yellow. Okay, so I said before in the previous lesson I wanted to kind of keep this secondary light more of a blue. I feel like this is going to be too pink. So what I'm going to do is go back to this Refine 2 layer, and I'm going to set my brush to, let's see, hue, and use a blue. And keep it quite light, and I'm just dragging it very lightly across this area. Just getting rid of those harsh pink tones. Through a few other parts of the hair as well. Just bringing the blue through. And on the layer that we've been working on, I'm going to go back in and just kind of neaten it up a bit. And I'm going to bring a few light blue strands just to the underside of up here. Just so there's a very slight amount of tinting going on. Okay, and now I'm going to move back on to, oh hold on a minute, I'm just going to bring some shadow into this forehead area because I feel like it's just not refined enough. So we're still on this hair texture, and I'm going to use a different one for the skin. I want to keep it quite smooth still, like as you can see, it's kind of scratchy in places where I've used a harsh brush, so I'm going to just try and find something a little softer. Possibly, let's see, That's a little softer, so we're going to try and use that for a bit. See how we go. So like I said before, when it comes to smoothing out a texture like this, what would really help is a smudge tool. I'm going to go to the layer where these brush strokes are on. I'm just going to gently nudge the shading a little bit just to flatten it out a bit. Okay, and now I'm going back to the layer we're working on. I'm just going to continue just bringing in a little bit more of a softer brush stroke to this area. Going to define the tip of her nose a little bit more. And bring the nostril up a little bit. And I'm going to get this pink just to shade in slightly. Okay, there we go. And for the mouth, I'm going to start by highlighting the peak of the shape of the lips. So here, on this cupid's bow, I'm going to just bring in a touch of light. And let me see, also I'm going to bring it to the lip, the lower lip. And these are just the highest points really, where the sunlight is going to hit first of all. Kind of accentuating the shape with a shadow. And I'm going to try and just bring a darker color to where the lip turns to her mouth opening. Okay. Just bring in a slightly whiter color for the teeth. And I'm going to focus on just bringing some more red. And these are little details that are a good idea to concentrate on, especially when it's in the face, because that is where the eyes are going to be drawn to. So you want to make sure that if anywhere, if any part of the body is going to be looking detailed like this, it's going to be the place where the eyes are going to rest first, which will be, in this case, the face. The skin here, right here, will kind of be in the direct line of the secondary light, so I'm going to bring in a lighter, pinkier tone to that area of her face. And it'll only be slightly because there's only a very small amount of skin, but okay, that looks good. And it would also hit the nose here where I've already done it, and possibly the underside of her lip. So right here, and this is where I'm going to actually use this brush. So I really want to make sure this is just very, very soft. And this might look like I've got the brush set to a really high, really large scale, but when you just touch on the tablet, it means that the area you cover is still very, very small. Check it looks okay by zooming out. It's a little bit dark, so I'm going to just backspace, and yeah, I think that's alright. And on the other side, just with a more appropriate color. Okay, so moving on to the body, I'm going to start doing the same thing with the smudge tool, getting it really large, and just touching the areas that I want to blend. Okay, so that's looking very mottled, so we're going to focus mostly on the arm now. Just try and bring in a softer cleaner lighting to it. Okay, so I'm just going to continue smoothing out this texture on the arm and shirt, just with the technique that we've been using, and I'll be right back with the finished image. Okay, so basically what I've done is I've refined the arm, the shirt, and I've cropped her body off at the hips because I really wanted the focus of the composition to be on her face, and I was worried that elongating the canvas would ruin the composition altogether. So now it's a lot more closely related to the thumbnail that we painted before. I've also applied blue haze to the parts of her body that would be affected by the secondary light source, and obviously I've added a necklace. So what I'll do now is I'll put these layers into a group, all the ones that apply to the painting, and while they're highlighted like this, I'm going to merge them. And then using the marquee tool, copy and paste, well, just copy for now, copy the final layer, and then undo everything. So you're back to this group. So close the group, and then the new layer, paste. And now you'll have the original group and this new single layer of the entire image. So I'm going to overlay them like this, and just make this group invisible. So single layers like this make it a lot easier for us to adjust the color values, and that's what we'll be doing in the next lesson. So we're going to be concentrating on editing, enhancing colors, and making the most out of effects.